Okay, now I think I'm gonna hit you with kind of a question that maybe that you know, I don't know. You may have been, you may have already answered this a million times. What is one misconception about Insted that you've always wished that you could sort of, like, if there was a way to sort of, like, hey, I'm going to set this right because I'm tired of people thinking this, or I'm tired of, like, what's, like, maybe one thing, or there could be a few, but I'm just wondering.
Yeah, it's tough because Insted's legacy is a very odd thing. Our recorded legacy isn't great, in my opinion. People get mad at me for saying that. Some people, like fans, but I think when you're introducing old hardcore to the newer generation that wasn't around to see us live, I think there's a big drop off between seeing Insted live to what Insted recorded was. Would you agree with that?
Well, see, that's the thing, is that from an outsider's perspective, and I think that this happens with art all the time, to me, it's like Bonds of Friendship is great. The 7-inch is great. What We Believe is great. So all those shows was a way to have that, I never, like, thought about, like, and this is just me as a like listening to music fan person. To me, it was all great. And so it wasn't like, oh man, I wish they would have recorded more, because I was just so happy to have what I had, and happy to have seen you guys, happy to have been friends with you guys. So I mean, that's the thing. You, and we've talked about, like you were in it, and so your perspective is,
it's hard to be objective, right? Like from where I sit, right? So I think you're probably more critical of the stuff you write, the stuff that you film, than anyone else.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes.
So for me, that's the one thing I wish we had left behind a better recorded legacy. Neither here nor there. That's really not the point of your question. I think one of the biggest misconceptions about Insted is that we were a youth crew band. We weren't. We were a punk band first. We were a hardcore band first. I think maybe we evolved into more of a youth crew style band than we had started as. But if you listen to Bonds of Friendship, that's not a youth crew band.
Right.
Obviously we had a couple other songwriters when we first started Insted that were not with us by the time we started touring and doing bigger shows. But I think that's one of the things people kind of, Insted's a youth crew band. Not really. I would say we were more of a Posi band than a youth crew band. I'm trying to think here. I felt like there was something else.
Well, but even within that, like I, in my estimation of like a punk band and stuff like that, like I didn't look at you guys as a youth crew band. I didn't look at you guys as a punk band. Like to me, it was, this is Orange County Hardcore. This is like, if you, it's like Sick of It All. Like if I was going to give people, hey, here's a band. If you want to know what to me is great hardcore, and like if you met these guys, you would come away feeling as good as you felt just hearing them as a recorded outfit. Listen to Insted. So yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, and I mean, I think that's the biggest thing too. And you saw some of this. Like, we would play with anybody, anywhere, anytime.
Yep.
We didn't care if you were, like a street punk band. We didn't care if you were Youth of the Day. We just, like, to us, it was all relative, and we were all part of the same team, the same scene, And yeah, I mean, it's just like I said, going back to your original question, which is, I think that's kind of a misconception. I think the other misconception is that we're all super positive guys, like this guy, not so much. I mean, I can be for sure, but overall, like, these were guys I grew up with and I started a band with, and, Kevin's the voice of that, right? Yes, we were heavily influenced by 7 Seconds, Uniform Choice, Solid 13. That's, to me, the very obvious ones. But for me personally, like, I loved Negative Approach.
Right.
I loved The Abused. I also liked a bunch of English punk, as did Kevin. But if I was building my own band from the start, it definitely wouldn't have been Insted. You know what I mean? And I'm not embarrassed or ashamed of it. I'm proud to have been part of it. It's just, I think everybody's like, oh, those guys are a bunch of, Posi nerds. Not really,
Right.
Yeah, so take that for what it's worth. Now, you can see more of my personality, I think, in the Alligators or in the first two Amendment 18 records than Insted. My influence on it. Even though I had a lot to do with writing it Insted, I was writing to the people I was with. Whereas Amendment 18, I was kind of expressing myself. You know what I mean?
Well, and I think with you, it was like, I think with Insted, it was those hardcore ethos. And I think that is maybe sometimes that's what gets kind of confused with Posi or Youth Crew. Whereas if you really know about hardcore, like there really is a lot of positive, good things about it. And that doesn't, and just because, like I'm saying, Mahoney, the Man in Black, he in many ways, in his songwriting and in the way that he presents his bands and in the things that he's writing about, he is encapsulating that. And it's like what you said about yourself. It's not like you're like some positive person all the time. And but you're a great guy. And Insted was a band of 4 great guys.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we just wanted to meet people, hang out with people, get people into our shows for free. We weren't looking for, some crazy payday. Like, if we could get 100 people into our show for free, then let's get it. Oh, and we'll sell it out, and we'll still get our sellout bonus, so it's all good.
Now, odd question. This may seem like an odd question just because the timing isn't the same, but when the Offspring happened, and I mean, because obviously there was a time when they were on Epitaph, and there wasn't the interest that there eventually was in them. But when they finally, 1994, and they're everywhere, and they're on Epitaph, you guys had been broken up, but what was it like for you, like, being on the same label as this band that is suddenly this huge band, or did you even care? Was it?
I didn't, did you get your whole question out on?
Oh yeah, no, you were great. In fact, I think I may have cut you off earlier, and I apologize.
So, no.
You're used to it.
For me, like, the Offspring were always a way more melodic band than we were, right? The singer could sing. I guess some people would argue that fact, but the singer could sing. Kevin could not. Kevin was a what's the word I'm looking for? He was he was charismatic on stage, and I'm not saying that Brian / Dexter wasn't. They're just 2 totally different people, but in the way that they were different from a musical standpoint, of course, Offspring had way more of a chance. Now, did I see that coming? Absolutely not. But I remember I went to a Fugazi show in the desert, and some of the Offspring guys were either in the same car I was in, or I think they were in the same car I was in. Either way, whether it was us talking at the show in the desert or in the car ride up there, they were asking me how I felt about Epitaph, and I was like, oh, they were super good to me. I know that people want to be like, oh, sellouts and blah blah blah, but no label ever treated us better. Well, Big Frank, of course, treated us great, but basically they were the same, just with more money and more input.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I did not have a bad thing to say, and the next thing I know, they signed with them, and the world changed for them. Good for them.
A few bands later, Carrie Nation took the stage. Shortly after that, Judge, a band from New York, took the stage. Andrew and I left a few songs into their set. As I was leaving, Nelson introduced me to Greg Brown, Scott Sundahl, Paul T., and other members of a group known as the Orange County Sloth Crew. Eventually, they would nickname me Mushnik, which was a character I had been in a high school play. On the ride home, I had no idea that those people I had just met would become and would be the gateway to the best friends I would ever have.